It all begins in Cairo, 5 years ago. Inside the grand palace of billionaire Sayed Suleiman, a new heist is about to unfold. Mr. Shark disguises himself as one of the guards and steals his access card. He signals to Webbs, "Everything's under control." Then Webbs gives the order. Piranha dives into a huge aquarium in the center of the palace. Spinning so fast, he creates a massive air bubble. Next, it's Snake's turn. He slips in and cracks open a hole through the aquarium wall. At the same moment, Wolf, wearing his flight suit, descends from the sky, ready to land. Suddenly, all the security cameras go dark. Shark uses the stolen card to open the palace roof. Wolf drops straight through, lands in the aquarium, and then slides down the hole Snake made, right into the palace. Together, they storm into the hall, where Sayed Suleiman stands frozen in shock. He recognizes them instantly. "Stay away from me, you monsters!" he shouts. The gang just laughs. Wolf steps closer, and the billionaire panics, pressing a hidden button. A huge vault door swings open, filled with gold, statues, and even a luxury car gleaming under the lights. Sayed tries to stop them, but they ignore him. The gang jumps into the car, ready to escape. Before leaving, they hand him a small gift. He opens it and freezes. It's a bomb. Wolf hits the gas. The car bursts through the palace window, and just as they escape, boom! But instead of an explosion, colorful confetti fills the air. The car lands safely, hanging from a giant balloon, and they speed away. Within seconds, Egyptian police spot them, and the chase begins. Wild, fast, tearing through Cairo's streets. Wolf drives like a pro, dodging every trap until the cops finally corner them. Surrounded, no way out. But Webbs hacks into a crane just in time, lifting them over the Nile. The gang soars across to the other side and disappears into the night. And years later, everything's different. We jump to the present day. Wolf now drives an old, rusty car through the streets of Los Angeles, narrating how everything changed. After their Cairo heist, the gang met 2 new members, Diane and Marmalade. But they decided to quit crime for good and turn themselves in. When they got out of prison, they promised to start fresh. Now, Wolf walks into a bank, not to rob it this time, but to apply for a job. The rest of the gang is doing the same, each trying to find honest work. But no one will hire them because of their criminal past. Wolf begs the HR manager for a second chance. But when the man realizes Wolf robbed that same bank 3 times before, he just says, "Well, if something opens up, I'll call you." Wolf drives home, tired and broke. Bills pile up on his table. His friends are there, sharing how their job interviews went. All rejections. Still, Wolf keeps their spirits up, telling them not to give up hope. Then Shark mentions a new name, Phantom. He says, "The whole world's talking about him." They turn on the TV and see the news. Phantom hit 3 sites last night, stealing priceless artifacts. He's skilled, fast, and leaves no trace, except, this time, a gift box that explodes into colorful confetti. Wolf freezes. "That's our move," he says. "If the cops see that, they'll think it's us." Just then, Snake walks in, sipping juice, acting like nothing's wrong. He changes clothes, grabs his bag, and says, "Don't wait up, wrestling match tonight," then walks out. Later, we see Wolf training in the gym with Diane. She's sharp, focused, and dangerous. She tells him no one knows she's the Crimson Paw. Wolf nearly blurts it out, so she punches him hard, knocking him down. He smiles, impressed. There's clear chemistry between them, but reality hits hard. Diane is now the governor of California, and Wolf, a reformed criminal with a record. Two worlds that can never truly meet. But just as the moment lingers, reality interrupts. Suddenly, Diane's secretary, Maureen, rushes in, reminding her about the Children's Hospital fundraiser in 20 minutes. Diane gets ready to leave, but before she goes, she turns to Wolf. She tells him softly, "Someday you'll get that job. People just need to trust you again." Moments later, we see the police captain, furious. Another robbery just happened, and the thief vanished without a trace. Maureen knocks, saying someone's waiting inside. The captain snaps, "I don't have time to meet anyone." But she freezes when she sees who it is. Wolf. He calmly says, "Let me help you catch Phantom. If I can bring him down, maybe people will finally trust me again." The captain frowns. "We'd need a computer genius for that." Suddenly, Webb spins around in her chair. "I'm already here," she says with a grin. Her fingers fly over the keyboard, screens flashing with data. Everyone's stunned by her skill. A few minutes later, the gang regroups, everyone except Snake. They call him, but his phone's off. They decide to start without him. After digging through files and clues, they learn that Phantom loves gold, rare artifacts, and something called mica japhanite. Later that night, they're back in Shark's beat-up call, trying to find a lead. That's when Webbs mentions a famous championship belt, the Guatemala belt, made entirely of mica japhanite. Shark suddenly remembers. That belt's the grand prize for tonight's wrestling tournament. Wolf's mind races. He starts connecting the dots. Could Snake be there? Could he be behind this? The team grows anxious. They don't want Snake to fall back into trouble or end up in jail again. Then the police captain calls them on video. She says, "We're closing in. Phantom will be at the wrestling arena tonight." The team panics. They drop the phone and rush out, racing to stop Snake before it's too late. That night, the wrestling tournament kicks off. Wolf and his crew arrive fast, hoping to warn Snake. But the bright lights, roaring crowd, and food stands distract them. For a moment, they forget why they're there, until Wolf snaps them back. "Focus. We need to find Snake before it's too late." Just then, the police captain spots them. "Hey, stop right there!" she yells. They all freeze, especially Shark, who panics and accidentally knocks her out cold. The team drags her into a public restroom, locks the door, and leaves a note. "Sorry about that." Then they split up to search the arena. Suddenly, Shark spots Snake in the crowd. They rush toward him, but before things get messy, Doom, Snake's old friend, appears out of nowhere and saves him. Moments later, the match begins. The crowd roars as the champion Jorge wins the title and receives the Guatemala belt. But before he can celebrate, a masked challenger steps into the ring. Wolf's eyes narrow. That's him. That's Phantom. The fight explodes. The new wrestler slams Jorge to the ground with brutal force. Wolf leaps into the ring, grabs a chair, and hits the masked fighter. But the moment he does, he realizes he might have made a huge mistake. The masked man turns on him, furious. Wolf steps back, terrified. Shark and Piranha jump in, trying to protect him. Chaos erupts. The entire arena turns into a wild brawl. Every fighter charges at the masked man, but he throws them off like they're toys. Finally, the gang works together and pins him down. Wolf grabs the mic. "This is it! He's Phantom!" he shouts. The crowd gasps. Then the mask comes off. It's Pigtail Petrova. She smirks. Too late. The belt's already gone. Everyone looks around, and she's right. The Guatemala belt has vanished. They realize she used the chaos as a distraction, wrapping the belt around Piranha to make it look like he was the thief. The crowd turns angry. "Fancume's one of them," someone yells. Suddenly, everyone's chasing the gang. At that moment, the police captain wakes up, spots Piranha running with the belt, and loses it. "Freeze!" she shouts, joining the chase. Sirens blare. Officers surround the arena. But just in time, Susie shows up in her hot dog truck, rams through the gates, and helps them escape. The police go after them in fury, but the gang speeds off into the night, barely getting away. Right after the chaos, we see Pigtail Petrova on the phone. She smiles coldly. "The plan worked," she says. And that's when we realize it was all a setup. Someone wanted the gang to fall right into this trap. Meanwhile, Diane appears at a press conference. Reporters crowd around her, asking about the gang, but she stays calm. "The investigation is still ongoing," she says. "No evidence yet." Then she ends the interview and walks away. Back at her office, her assistant Maureen warns, "You need to catch them, Diane. The public's losing trust." But their talk is cut short. On the other side of town, Wolf is calling from a payphone, his voice tense and desperate. "Diane, listen to me. This is a setup. I'm innocent. Someone's framing us. They're after a substance called micagavine." Diane listens carefully, then says, "Hide. Trust no one until I find the truth." She hangs up, takes a deep breath, and tells Maureen to cancel all her appointments. Then she opens a secret drawer, pulls out a black case, and leaves the building. As she disappears, her computer screen turns on by itself. A photo flashes, Professor Marmalade, and we realize he's the real thief the gang attacked before. Meanwhile, Wolf returns to the hideout, but before he can speak, Suzanne injects him. He drops, unconscious. Moments later, the gang wakes up, tied to chairs, inside an abandoned warehouse. And standing before them is Phantom. She removes her mask. "My name is Alhira Cat," she says with a grin. Then two others step out of the shadows, Pigtail Petrova and Susan. Snake stares at her, shocked. "Doom, why?" But she doesn't even look at him. He sighs softly. "I still love you, and I forgive you." Wolf cuts in, furious. "What do you want from us?" Alhira smiles. "I'm planning something big. You need work. I need a crew. Perfect deal, right?" Shark shakes his head. "We've changed. We don't do that anymore." But she just laughs. Then she plays a video on the screen. It shows Diane Foxington stealing the Crimson Paw. "If you don't help me," Alhira says coldly, "the whole world will see this." Wolf goes pale. He looks at the screen, then at his friends, and finally nods. "I'll do it," he says quietly, "to protect Diane." After that, Kat takes the gang to reveal their next job. But when she says the target, they're stunned. She wants to steal a rocket called Moon X. Wolf steps forward, calm but firm. "Give us the video of Diane first, as a sign of trust." Kat just smirks. "No deals," she says, and walks away. That night, Diane drives to a high-security prison by the sea. The guards are surprised to see her this late, but she ignores their questions and asks to visit a specific cell. When the door opens, the inmate inside looks up, and it's Professor Marmalade. We learn he ended up in prison because of Diane. Every time they worked together, She escaped and left him behind to take the fall. Diane keeps her tone cold. I need to know about Mikivine. Marmalade grins. It's a rare element with unique properties, but I'll tell you more only if you play my little game. Diane sighs, then nods. Fine. The next morning, Kat gathers the gang again. She gives each of them a bag, tools for cracking safes, disguises, and a portable computer for webs. Then Kat shows them a file on a man named Moon. She points at his wrist. This watch he wears, she says, controls everything about the rocket, the gates, the system, the launch. But then she adds, he never takes it off. Finally, she hands Doom an invitation to Moon's wedding. That's where they'll have to steal the watch. Kat warns them, this event will be packed with guards, cameras, and one mistake could ruin everything. And then comes the big day. Shark blends in as the flower decorator, while Doom handles the desserts. That's when they realize Moon wears smart glasses that scan guests and decide who's worthy of a 60-second chat. While Moon greets people, Doom seizes her moment. She plants a hidden camera, and Kat watches everything live from her car. Meanwhile, Piranha distracts the guards so Snake can sneak in through the drain pipe. Inside, Snake cracks open a tough vault. It's the main power line for the cameras. He cuts it, and right away, the whole system goes down. That's when Webbs sends Griddle to fix the issue. She storms into the control room, pretends to be a technician, and secretly connects Webbs's laptop to the network. At the same time, Kat drives her car straight to the venue. She radios Wolf. It's your turn. Wolf steps out, dressed so sharp that everyone stops to stare. In his hat, a hidden camera streams live to Kat. He enters the party, asks to meet Moon, and Webbs hacks Moon's glasses just in time. The system now shows Wolf as a billionaire energy tycoon. Impressed, Moon invites him for a private talk. Wolf smiles, shakes his hand, and reaches for the watch. But suddenly, everything falls apart. Mr. Slayman appears out of nowhere. Wolf freezes. He knows this man. Kat's mission collapses in seconds. Furious, Kat brushes inside to fix the mess. Slayman's starting to suspect Wolf. She hisses, "You just ruined everything." But Wolf snaps back. "That man knows me. He was about to blow my cover." And right then, Shark bursts in, carrying the bride, unconscious. Kat loses it completely. She threatens to expose Diane, but Wolf stops her, his voice calm and steady. "I'll handle it," he says. "I'll get the watch." Moments later, the ceremony begins. The bride walks toward Moon, but suddenly we realize it's Wolf under the veil. Shark's playing the officiant. Everything's going smooth until Mr. Sleeman shouts. He spots Wolf instantly. In a flash, Shark switches back the real bride, and Sleeman rips the veil off, staring in shock at the real woman beneath it. Moon's furious. He throws Sleeman out. Moments later, the crew celebrates in their van. Mission accomplished. Then we cut to prison. Diane's still there, bored, playing with marmalade. He casually mentions that MacGuffinite is magnetic. It attracts gold. When she walks away, he whispers, "You're the second one asking about it." That's when Diane realizes the other visitor was none other than Agent Kat. She traces her through Moon's stolen watch. Meanwhile, the gang's still celebrating until Wolf asks Kat for Diane's video. She distracts him with talk about the good old days, tempting him to return to crime. For a moment, Wolf almost gives in. He takes the video and leaves. But later, Wolf returns to the team, and we find out he recorded Kat's confession without her knowing. Everyone cheers. They plan to call the police. Then the twist. Their car stalls. Kat had cut the power and was listening the whole time. She appears with Griddle and Doom beside her, smiling coldly. The team wakes up chained in the warehouse, gold cuffs hanging by a crane. Kat reveals her cruel plan. The same remote that controls the crane also controls Diane's leaked video. If you drop, she says, the video goes live. If you stay up there, same thing. She calls the police, accusing them of stealing the MacGuffinite, then walks away, leaving them dangling helplessly. Then, suddenly, Diane's video leaks. The whole world is watching, and Wolf freezes in shock. Sirens blare. Police surround them from every side. Meanwhile, Kat and her crew storm the Moon X base, ready to launch the rocket. But inside, Diane's already waiting. Kat realizes too late. Diane knows everything about Marmalade. A fierce fight erupts. Diane knocks out Doom and Griddle, but Kat is ruthless. They clash across the platform until Diane falls from the bridge. Yet somehow, she pulls herself back up. Standing tall, she declares, "As governor, I order your arrest." Kat just smirks. "You're not governor anymore. Check your phone." Diane looks, and her smile fades. Thousands of comments flood the screen, accusing her of lies, betrayal, and theft. Her secret is out. Her career destroyed. Kat injects her with a tranquilizer. Diane collapses, but with her last strength, she crawls toward the rocket controls and slams her hand on the launch panel, locking Kat and her team inside before passing out. News spreads fast. The public is shocked. Marmalade is released from prison, and police issue a warrant for the bad guys. When the cops find them, they try to explain everything, but no one listens. Back at Moon X, Kat orders the rocket to launch. At the same time, the police start doubting the story and finally decide to hear the gang out. The team rejoices, hugging in relief. Meanwhile, in the control room, technicians panic. The rocket's launch countdown is at 3 minutes. One of them grabs the phone and calls Moon himself. Moments later, the police and the gang board a plane, racing to catch Kat. They jump mid-air, landing right on the rocket's hull. As they climb inside, the officer salutes them and flies back. Inside, the rocket's already breaking through the atmosphere. At mission control, Moon storms in, furious. How did this happen? But his team is speechless. The rocket is heading straight for the space station. Up there, Kat arrives and prepares to power up the MacGuffinite, a machine strong enough to pull all the world's gold into space. Meanwhile, Diane regains consciousness, and the gang, freezing inside the shuttle, realizes they forgot their suits. Then, Piranha drifts by, floating weightlessly. He laughs. "Relax, enjoy zero gravity." But time's running out. Below, Griddle activates the MacGuffinite, and gold from every corner of the Earth starts rising towards space. That's when Wolf comes up with a crazy plan. They suit up, exit the shuttle, and split into teams. Webbs and Shark hack the external control panel, while Snake and Piranha open the main power grid. Each second counts. Kat watches from above, pulling in more and more gold. But the gang manages to reroute the system just in time. Wolf breaks into the core chamber, as Piranha suddenly loses control, spinning wildly through the air with Snake. Kat spots them. "Impossible," she mutters. Then chaos erupts as the MacGuffinite drags mountains of gold into orbit, turning Earth below into total panic. But then Cat is shocked. Wolf is already inside the control unit. He tells her to shut it down. A fierce fight breaks out between them. Cat manages to reach the control device and smashes it, but Wolf just smiles and shows her Moon's stolen watch. She laughs. That watch controls the rocket, not the magnet. Wolf twists the dial anyway. The rocket spins off course, and all the gold crashes back into the station, forming a massive block. With no time to think, Wolf rams the rocket straight into the gold, causing a huge explosion that sends every piece of gold raining down to Earth. Cat lunges at him in rage, but Diane appears out of nowhere, saves Wolf, and knocks Cat out cold. Wolf holds Diane tight, and for a moment, everyone celebrates. But then the alarms start blaring. The control system is destroyed. The rocket is falling straight toward Earth. Wolf looks at his friends. If we die heroes. Moments later, the police hold a press conference, mourning the gang's death and honoring their sacrifice. Everyone watching cries. The world has lost its greatest outlaws. But then comes the twist. Cat, Pigtail, and Doom are arrested. And after the cameras fade, the police chief walks into her office, where the gang is waiting, alive and smiling. She tells them quietly, "I had to fake your deaths, to keep you out of prison." Then she adds with a grin, "Welcome to your new job." Secret agents. The gang cheers, realizing they've just found a new purpose. And with that, the story of the Bad Guys 2 comes to a close.